So, end of last year, I was working at a local online college as a business analyst. I ran a small team of real-time analysts, and then they decided to close the position down, so I got dumped back into my old student finance job. I mean, I excelled there, and I did really good, except it just wasn't for me, right? Nobody likes getting demoted. So I started looking for another job. Got my LinkedIn hooked up, polished up my resume, started putting out feelers and making connections. Quickly, I got a bunch of interviews. I got job offers. And then once I got the job offers, I basically just had to pick through them. Which one did I want? What were the requirements? What were the benefits? Did I, how much money was I going to make? That was the most important thing to me. Secondary is, what do I have to do to make that money? Well, once I got my qualifications out of the way and figured out which job I wanted, the next thing was real simple. Pass a background check. That's a requirement of almost any job, right? Pass a background check, pass the drug test. So seems logical. You want to make money, you want to keep a job, you're going to do those things. Pass your background, pass your drug test, and then show up for work. Those are kind of some of the things. Do you guys agree those are pretty normal? You are going to have to do those to get money, to keep your bills paid, your roof over your head, your gas in your car, right? Logical?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if that is a logical thing to do, I would say that isn't it possible that everybody who wants to make money and be able to support themselves have to pass the same kind of backgrounds, maybe the same kind of drug tests that we do? It's only logical. It's a legal thing. The welfare recipient or the welfare model in America doesn't quite agree with me on that. They will allow any recipient, as long as they qualify for welfare, to just be on welfare. You don't have to pass a background. You don't have to pass a drug test. I don't believe that sounds fair. I show up to work every day. I have to maintain, my attendance. I have to maintain safety, and I have to maintain the ability to present a good face in front of a customer. Well, I have to also pass a drug test if something should happen. Welfare doesn't. There's 12.8 million people on welfare in America. Now, that's not very much. It's only like 0.6% of the American population is actually on welfare, and that's according to Strain Brain, which is a statistic website. Most people who get welfare are simply food stamps, TANF, which is temporary aid for needy family, or housing assistance. Now, that would also include SSI, so disabilities and things like that. Can we all agree welfare is pretty much a depressing place to be? You're not really self-sufficient. You're relying on other people, and you really don't want to be there. I don't know anybody who literally says when they wake up in the morning, man, I'm glad to be on welfare today. I'm sure there's probably somebody out there, but being that welfare is such a depressing place, how do people get to welfare? You're there because you can't support yourself. Now, this could be caused by a natural disaster, the Colorado fires, Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Sandy, all of these things, divorce, just simple unemployment. Companies shut down. You don't have income anymore. What do? You have to rely on the welfare system, and that's what it's there for. But welfare is a temporary need. It is not made to live your entire life on welfare. In 1996, they reformed the Welfare Act. It was called the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996. Now, what that says is that they put in a bunch of rules that reformed welfare, how much you can get, how long you can get it, but they put in one important rule. Rule 407 says that any able-bodied person eligible for welfare assistance should have to work, search for work, accept work if it's offered, or train to obtain work. Not once since 1996 has that been changed. Congress will not change it because that's the most important part of it is they need to be able to work. So, seems normal, seems fair, right? It's really logical that it's a temporary assistance to pull you back up out of poverty, get you back on your feet, and get you working. The problem is if you're a drug abuser, the odds are you're not going to be able to get out of that cycle. Here's why I say that. CNN reported people out of work 6 months or more show high signs of depression. EverydayHealth.com also reports in a large Gallup poll that there's a high correlation of depression associated with drug abuse and unemployment. There's clearly evidence that there's a correlation between the inability to work, depression, and drug abuse. If the objective is to get out of welfare, back up on your feet and supporting yourself, you have to maintain employment, income of some type. Unless you win the lottery, the only other option is to get an income. Why would we drug test? Well, we already know the objective of welfare: short-term assistance, pull you from poverty, and train for work. If you cannot train for work, accept work, or actually keep a job, if you do not pass a drug test, an employer will not hire you. So the very essence of pulling you back up from poverty, keeping you working, you can't possibly do if you can't pass a drug test. As of April 29th this year, 2014, Governor Deal in Georgia passed a law saying that welfare recipients can, in fact, be drug tested. Now, he put two important clauses in his statement saying that you're trying to balance two competing forces. First is the right of the individual. We don't want to infringe on the right, if they qualify to be given assistance, of food stamps. The other hand is the right of the taxpayer. You and me and everybody else who has a job that pays a tax, that pays for these systems, we should not be putting money into the hands of drug abusers. One of the major points of welfare is you cannot be a criminal. Drug abuse is a federal crime. Even if Colorado's a little lax in their marijuana laws, it's still a federal crime. You cannot be a criminal in the eyes of the federal government who pays these taxes by using drugs. So, my point is to test them. Who's going to pay for this? People ask me, what are you going to do, raise taxes? No, I'm not going to raise taxes. This is pretty simple. Have the applicant pay for it. Drug tests don't cost that much. They can go down to the local UA clinic or even a testing center. They're only around $100. Spread it out over their first 4 payments of their welfare money. The other way that we can do this is that we'll save a lot of money by people not testing. If they think they're not going to pass the test, logically they're not going to apply. If they don't apply, then they don't have, or we're not paying them to be on welfare. We're saving money on both ends of that. How would you select who's going to get drug tested? Well, obviously not everybody's going to get drug tested. That would be crazy, because half of the people on welfare already have jobs. They just need food stamps. They may need housing assistance. They may need some other type of aid that does not require you to have to go look for a job. You already have a job. We're not worried about you passing the ability or being able to keep the job. If you're on SSI and this is a permanent thing, you get a random drug test. You might be picked out of a lottery when it's recertification time. If you are able to work but aren't working, your number's up. You have to get drug tested. That's a very small percentage. I think it seems normal, and I think it seems fair. What do you guys think? Does it sound okay?
I think it sounds fair.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds fair too.
So I'm just going to summarize the talk here. Basically, I had to get a drug test to keep my job. I have to get a drug test if I get hurt. My kids play sports. They have to get physicals and drug tests. I have to show up every day. I can't show up every morning if I've been on a bender all night. I have to be safe when I work. I have to be safe when I travel. Welfare recipients are supposed to be looking for work, taking the work that's given to them. So the day they show up for the interview, get the job offer, go do the drug test, is not the day they need to be saying, oh boy, how do I become clean in 4 hours? I have a drug test to take. And then welfare is meant to be temporary. It's meant to get you up and out of the system, but drug abuse leads to depression, depression leads to drug abuse, and all of it leads to unemployment. There's been large studies that have proven that, and I believe that drug testing the welfare recipients at the get will lead to more people getting jobs, lower welfare transition. It keeps you out of the system instead of recycling back through the system, and you can change your entire family tree in one generation with the ability to stay clean and keep a job. So I hope that if it ever comes up on a ballot, you guys will vote for it, that we can drug test the welfare system. Not everybody. It can be random, but it'll definitely persuade people to stay clean and get out of the welfare system. All right? Well, do you guys have any questions for me tonight?
That's a good job.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for supporting me. And, well, you guys have a great night, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.